The Irish PM today warned that Brexit trade negotiations will not start until March as he pledged his loyalty to his country's new best friends, the EU. EU leaders are expected to rubber stamp moving on to the next phase of talks at a Brussels summit tomorrow, but Leo Varadkar said the details of the transition will need to be thrashed out before we turn to trade. His comments came as Theresa May downplayed her humiliating Commons defeat on the Brexit bill last night as she arrived in Brussels to pitch for an ambitious trade deal. The PM's authority in Brussels risks being weakened after 11 Tory rebels joined Labour to inflict a defeat on the government and demand a meaningful vote on the deal. Mrs May admitted the loss was disappointing but insisted ministers are still on course to deliver Brexit for Britain. But as the PM arrived to press the case for trade talks, Mr Varadkar said his allegiance lies with the EU, telling reporters, "Ireland is a member of the European Union, so our best friends are the 27 member states. As a remaining member, our very closest relations have to be with other members of the European Union, just as they were our closest friends in the weeks gone by." Theresa May turned up in Brussels today for the gathering of leaders that is due to sign off starting trade talks. Leo Varadkar, pictured, left, arriving in Brussels for the summit today, said Ireland's best friends are the EU. While Theresa May, pictured right, arriving in Brussels today, tried to shrug off last night's setback, telling reporters ministers are still on course to deliver Brexit. Mr Varadkar said he expects the next 3 months of talks to be devoted to the transition deal, adding, "And once we have that done, we can then talk about the new trading relationship." His comments are a blow for Mrs May, who has travelled to the Belgian capital to urge leaders of the 27 other member states to kickstart trade talks as soon as possible. What does the defeat on the Brexit bill mean? Tory rebels joined with Labour and the Lib Dems to force the government to give MPs a meaningful vote on the Brexit deal. This means Parliament will have to get a say several months before Britain formally quits the bloc in March 2019, so they can sent the PM back to the negotiating table if they want. Politicians expect the government to give the Commons a vote in around October next year. What will happen at the summit? Theresa May has touched down in Brussels to press the case to move on to trade talks. She has already got EU leaders to agree sufficient progress has been made on the divorce bill, citizens' rights and the Irish border, and member states are expected to rubber stamp the decision. The PM will address a dinner of the leaders of the 27 member states tonight, but the actual decision will be taken tomorrow in her absence. Mrs May is pressing the case to move on to trade talks, but member states have warned details of the transition will need to be thrashed out first. The PM struck a bullish tone despite the shock defeat on her flagship Brexit bill by stressing that she had won the vast majority of votes on the legislation. She told reporters, "I am disappointed with the amendment, but actually the EU withdrawal bill is making good progress through the House of Commons and we are on course to deliver on Brexit," she told reporters.